on the 16th of February, our church celebrates the feast day of St Maruthas. The following are some details on his life and works. Born in the city of Sophia in Asia Minor, which bordered on the country of Persia, Maruthas became acquainted with the villages and customs of Persia. An excellent theologian, he paired his theological studies with those of medicine, so that as a physician he could minister to the physical and spiritual needs of his fellow Christians. After some time he was chosen to be Bishop of Majfaqat, whose odd-sounding name was of Persian origin. Later Maruthas was selected to serve as a goodwill ambassador to the Persian king Sapor II by Emperor Theodosius. As a man of the church, a physician and diplomat, Maruthas was well known to the Persian king, and thus was eminently qualified to bring peace and understanding between two nations with such disparate cultures and religious beliefs. The first task of Maruthas was to convince a sceptical Persian king that the mighty Byzantine Empire had no design for conquest, and that Persia would never be invaded by its superior neighbour. Thus reassured, Sapor II was most cordial, and flung open the doors of his country for any who cared to visit for exchange of ideas and improvement in relations. The tranquillity brought about helped to keep the peace, something shattered from time to time by bandits. There were those in the Persian kingdom who looked upon the Christian kingdom with loathing, but they were forced to keep the peace. Conditions vastly improved when Maruthas proved the good intentions of the Christian Empire. The daughter of Sapor II became gravely ill, and when all hope for her recovery seemed futile, the bishop, physician, diplomat went to her side, and after prayer and care, he brought about her complete recovery. The king was so grateful that he ferreted out the pagans who had held captive Christians and saw to it that they were restored to their families. In 403 AD, Maruthas appeared at the infamous trial of St John Chrysostom, who had been toppled from his patriarchal throne by enemies from within. Maruthas was only one of the many voices that were raised in defence of the wrongly accused patriarch, but to no avail. The gentle Chrysostom was forced into exile, but kept in constant touch with Maruthas. They even wrote to each other about the prospects of inducing the pagans of Persia to convert to Christianity. Maruthas returned to his diplomatic post in Persia, and convinced the Persian king that his subjects should be given a choice after hearing Christian missionaries. Seeing no harm in this, and knowing that Maruthas represented good rather than evil, Sapor II issued a decree permitting Persians to listen to Christian missionaries if they so chose. He further decreed that there would be no intimidation of Christians by anyone. But as always, there were those who were determined to rid themselves of the increasing Christian population, and that the most direct way to do this was to discredit Maruthas. They tunnelled under the floor of the temple which the king attended, and smuggled one of their conspirators under the spot where the king was sure to kneel. When the king appeared for his usual ritual, he was greeted by a voice which seemed to come from the bowels of the earth. Transfixed, the king listened to the mysterious voice as it denounced Maruthas and exhorted him to rid himself of this hypocritical diplomat. The bewildered king went to Maruthas, who was waiting for him to emerge. But Maruthas had known of the plot, and the infuriated king ordered the imprisonment of those who would have made a fool of him. After this sorry event, the conspirators who managed to escape disbanded, and normalcy was restored. Returning to Majfaqat, renamed Martyropolis, Maruthas died suddenly on the 16th of February in 420.